of suffering in this country, even as we talk about the ICC.
Let's talk about judicial reform in view of the decision about the presidential election and the way they refused to accept some evidence because of time.
Yeah.
And of course the way a section of the community is disgruntled because of that.
Yeah.
And now what is happening between the Judicial Service Commission and the registrar? Would you therefore think that the judiciary is in the process of reforming, or is it stagnant, or is it going back?
Okay, you know, one of the fallacies of our nation is the fact that we have perfected so much the art and the language of reform. We speak of it so eloquently that actually you become believable that we are going to reform the institution. But it's pure rhetoric. I would say that what we are seeing in the judiciary is what I would describe as the hardware part of reform. I think we are yet to realize the software part of it. The pronouncements that actually shift the thinking, the course of justice. For the Supreme Court, I'll give the example of the American Supreme Court back in the days. They also made a lot of blunders during the determination of civil liberty cases. But I think somewhere along the way, everybody knew that if you go to Supreme Court of the United States of America on an issue touching on civil liberties, you be sure that this is the decision they make. In the context of our presidential petition, first of all, Article 159 was very clear that you do not deny people justice because of technicalities. Why they refused at that time, maybe they had their own reason. But you can see that even after the case, they were not confident enough to pronounce their own judgment in open court. Because when you say that this judgment is available, and this judgment, it was about Kenya. It was about that peripheral society, community. It was about the Boni of Tanadel. It was about that Turkana or Pokot, about that man in Busia living in Siopot. When you tell them that we have posted it on the internet, I mean, how is ICT, developed in this country so that even people who are not educated could actually access it? Yet, this is a judgment that was really concerned them. It was, of course, a contradiction. During the process, during the trial, the prosecution of the case, you allowed it to be publicly broadcasted, yet you did not want to read it yourself, your own pronouncement. So I think, in a way, that really, many of us as lawyers, I think many lawyers can tell you they are disappointed. They think that perhaps we still have a long way in the reform of the judiciary, in the actual reform of the judiciary. I think, well, I can buy you, Mutegi, the latest of the Mercedes-Benzes, and I can tell you to drive it. But if you don't know how to drive it, it might look nice. You say Mutegi has a very beautiful, flashy car. But if you don't know how to engage it, you're probably going to the ditch. So I hope that's not an analogy we want to associate the judiciary with. We are seeing a lot of reform, but even as, hardware reform. But I think even in that process, you can see already the fighting has started with the highest organ that is supposed to be in charge of reform. And I'm telling you, I hear people saying, well, are we losing the judiciary? And people are talking about that. So even relating it to the subject we are discussing, which is the ICC, even as we clamor for the cases to be brought back, with all these underlying concerns about reforming the judiciary, I think on a balance of probability, you can say we are not ready.
Okay. So perhaps just two quick questions. Perhaps you could respond kindly briefly to them.
Yeah.
There's Kevin from Kenya says, let's pull out of the ICC. The Kikuyu and Kalenjin, who were rivals in 2007 elections, have already reconciled. Yeah. Let's move forward for a better Kenya.
I will not, Kevin, with all due respect, I will not bank so much on that. I want to remind Kevin of the history of coalitions in this country. Go back to 2002. I think that's probably when coalitions became so prominent in terms of acquiring power. Think about NAC, what happened thereafter. 2007 again, PNU, ODM, think about what happened thereafter. Now we are talking about a coalition of TNA and CORD on the other hand. Yesterday you heard about CORD. There's a bit of problems in CORD. So I will not rely so much on that, because one thing that is synonymous with us Kenyans, we suffer from a culture of very short memory. We forget too soon where we came from. So I will not bank so much on political coalition, because political coalition is about convenience, about interest. And I think in Kenya, let's bite the bullet. It's about personal interest. It's not even about community interest. If today the Turkanas of this country decided to gang up using Ekuru Aukot maybe, or even our leaders now, Munyez or Ekwe or Nanok and everybody else, I will not put food on every Turkana's table. So I think that's the fallacy. So I will be careful to Kevin. I will not say that I will necessarily sit pretty and say that all is done.
Now, a couple of people, I beg your pardon,
Yeah.
who are basically linking you to political allegiance, especially to CORD.
Really?
Perhaps you could, absolutely. Somebody says you are a Raila psychopath.
Well,
perhaps you could clarify.
Okay,
that.
first of all, I have never been a member of any political party. I've never been a member of ODM. I think I can argue that every time I've been given the chance to serve this country, I think I've done it to the best of my ability. I've never been affiliated to any political party. So I am not a Raila sycophant. I've never been, and I will never be a sycophant of anyone, leave alone Raila. I mean, Raila didn't take me to school. Raila does not feed me. So I'll never be anybody's sycophant. And I think, sorry to those who think, I'm a very independent person in the way I'm thinking. If I was anybody's sycophant, you will have seen me on the campaign trail in the last general election. As a matter of fact, I, with other Kenyans who really thought so hard about our politics divisive, we started an outfit called G47. And in that outfit, we clearly say to Kenyans, let's have dialogue about this country. Let's have dialogue that's inclusive. So I never swung myself anyway. I mean, if I was, right now, maybe I could have been a nominated member of parliament or a senator. I don't want. I think this country needs a certain character of people who must stand out and say the truth.
Have you had any appointment that could be linked to Raila? Any? Maybe that would probably.
All the appointments, all the 2 jobs that I've done for this country. And by the way, even there's a time I was being accused of being a Raila appointee. A week thereafter, 2 weeks thereafter, Kibaki had appointed me actually in the University of Nairobi Council, which is the highest organ. I know why people think that I'm a Raila sycophant, because CORD, or not CORD actually, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya in the IEBC Act was entitled to nominate 2 individuals to the selection panel that recruited the IEBC. Just like the president then, Mwai Kibaki, was also entitled to nominate. Now, when I was nominated as the nominee of the Prime Minister, let people who say that I'm a Raila sycophant know the truth. That was an act of parliament. It was the Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya, not Raila Amolo Odinga, the leader of CORD, nominating me. And in any case, I mean, these people who say that, I think they suffer from short memory. If they recall, when we crafted the advert for qualification to be a commissioner of IEBC, the first people who really came after me was the ODM fellows, because they said we are looking for angels. Because we had said that, we had actually interpreted chapter 6 to say, if you want to qualify as a commissioner or a chairman, you must comply with chapter 6. Clearance from KRA, CID and all those. I was attacked, not even by PNU side, but by the ODM side. Because I'm not a sycophant. You don't give me a job and expect me to suck up to you. It will never happen. That's not me, and it's certainly not where I come from.
All right. Yeah. Okay, so that's just about it, talking to Dr. Ekuru Aukot. We'll be right back.